Hey guys, so it's Morgan from my channel Life Literacy Right, and I'm here with my husband Justin, and today I'm just gonna capture a conversation between us about minimalism. And so he's graciously agreed to sit in on this. If you want to hear how we talk about it as a marriage, kind of just supporting each other with this, stay tuned. We're gonna try and not be weird. We're gonna have a conversation on camera, but to each other, because this is not scripted and I did not tell you in advance about this. So I just showed my husband a video from the Minimalist Mom, and it was just kind of sparking some great reminders about minimalism, and I wanted to hear his thoughts on it and just talk it through with our home. And we have a lot of great deep conversations all the time, but I have never captured them on video. So I thought it might be good to capture this and have people just see like how these conversations might go with your spouse or your significant other. So this is my husband, Justin. All right, with that kind of like awkward intro, I know we're staring at a camera right now. Let's talk through this. I'll edit out whatever doesn't work, like not in our conversation, but sure. So one of the things she mentioned was clean counters and clean bathroom counters. So the idea of clearing out cluttered spaces on our counters and that visual simplicity. And I liked what she was referring to with that, because I mentioned earlier, like when we go on a vacation and you walk into a hotel, if it's got a suite set up where you have a little kitchenette, the counters are completely clear and you just feel this peace, I guess, maybe because you're on vacation. But like, you know, there's a reason hotels leave that very simple, because the idea is you can come into the space and you can make it your own. But there is also a relaxation factor of like, you know, she showed the side-by-side images of the bathroom sink cluttered with like toothpaste and half empty medicine bottles and stuff versus clear. So I like that idea. We were talking earlier about our counters and what more we could possibly take off of them.
Yeah, and we don't have a whole lot. We've already moved quite a bit off of our current countertop.
Yeah.
You know, over the last, probably a year or so.
And like renovating the kitchen really changed that, because we wanted to, I guess when you make a space nice, you want to keep it like clean and neat, because you realize adding clutter into it really isn't great visually appealing wise. So I talked about the toaster oven needs to stay on that space, because we have a long galley kitchen and we have a lot of counter space. Doesn't mean we need to fill it all up, but toaster oven we use daily. So that would be a beast to be moving. And I thought about maybe like moving it to the hutch or having one space with appliances. But then I thought it creates the most mess too, because we're using it daily. So there's crumbs around it, and I don't want to be cleaning off our hutch. It doesn't clean very well. No. I would rather be able to wipe down the counters.
And the toaster oven, by its nature, gets hot from the fact that it's an oven, you know.
Yeah, so it wouldn't work, like, even though our pantry has plugs, I know the microwave's in the pantry, it doesn't work there. It doesn't really work on the hutch. So really its space is the counter.
It's right.
I've been happy with that. Yeah. I don't know if, I guess learning that contentment, someday I might like one that like matches the color of our kitchen. If they make some kind of like 50s tinted toaster oven, I don't know. The bluish teal color that we have, but
or maybe we just need to get stainless steel appliances to match the stainless steel toaster oven.
That's not gonna happen anytime soon, because that's part of the point of minimalism too for us, has been like working on paying off our debts and finding the contentment where we're at. And you know, I'm trying really hard to do like a no spend October/November, I think, if I could make it 2 months, where I'm not buying anything extra. I am trying to like curb my shopping habits, and instead I'm actually trying to purge our house of even more things and sell them and see if I can bring in some income for us to work on debts. So I don't know. I feel like we're good on the counter thing. There's a few other areas I think we still need to simplify in our kitchen. She mentioned the dishes thing. How do you feel about that? It was the idea of have so few dishes that you're not able to like build big piles on the counter because you haven't washed them. The idea is that you have to wash them for the next meal. I personally disagreed with that a little bit because of our hosting. Yeah. I was thinking like how often we love to have like my family over, or you know, when we were hosting groups from our church, if we only had a limited number of dishes, then we can't do that. Like, you can't host well.
It would mean on those times we'd have to go to the basement, get the extra dishes, bring them up, and then...
Well, okay, now there's a thought, because she mentioned that they had extra dishes in their basement, and that for the majority of the time with their family, they keep them out of circulation. Like, they're not upstairs to mess with, but... should you have guests over where you need that extra dish stockpile, then you can pull it up for that occasion and then put them back. I kind of did that when I minimalized our cup cabinet. Mm-hmm. So I noticed we had enough glasses to entertain a group. I think there's like 8 small, 8 large. And I moved half of them to the top shelf that I can't reach. I'm too short. And we never reach up there. So it's not the basement, but I moved them out of our regular circulation area. So we put all the cups we regularly use on the first shelf. And I was thinking, why am I storing all the excess in this space? I didn't need that clutter, right? Like I took half out of circulation, put it at the top, but I didn't get rid of them again because I feel like we use them. When our family has come over, I want to have enough cups. And I've also been trying to move away from just using plastic, like, or paper plates, disposable things, because I feel like there's a quality aspect that I enjoy actually eating on real stuff. But we also minimalized and we bought all like Pyrex plates because they're not as breakable. I'm sorry, Corel, not Pyrex.
You got Pyrex bowls.
Yeah.
Bowls,
yeah. And we don't have to be afraid because they're like chip resistant. And so.
Even earlier today, I was getting a bowl out and I dropped it, but it.
Yeah, like it fell across. It fell across the kitchen floor, and both of us kind of looked at it, but it wasn't like a.
It didn't shatter. It just.
It was okay.
Went over and picked it up and was still able to use it.
It was fine. And honestly, with kids, like I was saying, we can't have fine china sets. That's just not practical. But I still wanted us to feel like we were eating on nice dishes. So I got the really pretty Corel white plates with like, they've got a design around, like the edge. And I like that. I feel like I'm eating on nice stuff, but I don't have to worry about if it gets tossed in the sink or broken or dropped.
Yeah, I mean, I think the cups is an interesting use case too. We could probably pack up the stuff on that top shelf and move it to the basement for the very reason that we don't use it, and then that would clear out that top shelf.
Yeah.
And we could maybe space things out a little bit more so it's not, you know.
Well, and you know, I've heard it said on this channel, Minimalism in general, to move past the idea that we have to fill up every space. The idea is that like sometimes we can have empty shelves. You know, that's an interesting thought. If we pack up that shelf, put it in the basement, and I guess in that case, it's really a question of where we want to store it, where it doesn't get in our way. Because the idea is maybe that having that top shelf clear eliminates some of the visual clutter in our kitchen when we open that cabinet. Because we are opening it regularly on a daily basis. So if it feels like it's full top to bottom, that could seem overwhelming. I don't know. You know, we don't always know how much it impacts us. We don't know the stress our stuff or clutter brings to us until it's gone, until it's out of the space. And then you open it and it's empty or whatever, and it like is this breath of fresh air. So, I don't know. So that's one I'd be curious about is I purposely bought extra plates for our goal of entertaining and hosting, but we don't have to store them because I know, like up here in our regular use spot, because I know that.
Yeah, I mean,
I know our dishes do pile up. They had a point that, I mean, when you have extra on hand, if I'm serving lunch on these dishes and then I've got to serve dinner on the same dishes, then I got to wash them from lunch to dinner. And that's inconvenient, but it doesn't allow your sink to pile up. So,
right.
I don't know.
But then at the same time, it just means we have to wash them before the next day.
Excuse me.
We just have to wash them before.
Got like a sneeze in there. Sorry.
So at the same time, we really, lunch and dinner included, we only really have enough dishes for those 2 meals, to the point that
True.
We do still have to wash them before we can make our next,
And we do use the dishwasher. I don't know that I'd like to. I don't know. I like the idea of once a day kind of loading that dishwasher at the end of the day, and then you have enough for the next day. We don't have enough that we could go multiple days without washing dishes. So I think that's a good.
I feel like we've got a pretty decent system there.
Yeah.
And similarly, we really only use one. We have one pan that we use mostly, and then the cast iron for certain things there, and then a couple pots that we use. But by that same token, if I'm using like the medium-sized pot and I need to use it again, I have to wash it before I can use it again. So
yeah. Well, and I talked today about eliminating some of our like casserole dishes, because at one point I had bought these Pampered Chef nice stoneware casserole dishes because I was told stoneware is so great, like it's wonderful to cook on. And it might be, and some people may love to use it. And I, at the time I had hosted a party, so I got discounts on it. But I told him, honestly, I never use them. I don't pull them out of my cabinets. When I want to make a casserole, I go to my clear glass casserole dishes because I like to be able to see them. And they're lighter. I just know that I hate picking up a heavy stoneware dish. I don't like the weight of it. It's just too much for me to handle and maneuver, and I just don't enjoy cooking in it. I don't feel like it cleans well. Honestly, cleaning it or scraping it makes me feel like nails on a chalkboard. It's that surface texture. I don't like it.
Well, it's got a matte finish.
Yeah.
As opposed to the glass, which is intense.
And I've been holding on to them because people say, like, it's said they're good quality, they're great to have. Oh, every person should have this in their kitchen. And it's like, well, some people might have that opinion, but if I'm not using it, why have I kept those in my cabinet? I need to pass that on, move that on, maybe sell it and earn some cash from somebody who actually would use it or enjoys those things, because I'm not. So I'm good to go ahead and clear those out of our shelves. I'll list them on our local selling boards, the online forums and stuff I'm part of that kind of sell things quickly. And I think those should go pretty quickly. I don't know. Maybe people don't want those in their homes right now. We'll see. And then I guess there's a few other parts that the Minimalist Mom mentioned in her video. Is like about toys, minimalizing toys. I honestly feel like we've done an amazing job at that. Our kids, I think we just see that in their creativity because they no longer are overburdened by their stuff. So they have to get super creative. They're asking to go outside to play more. Just the other day they made Pillow Land, where they grabbed every pillow in our house, piled it into our front room, and they played for a couple hours on Pillow Land because, they don't have all like the clutter and the things even in their own playrooms stifling their imagination. It's pretty much they have one toy box, and I don't even let that get full. It's like maybe less than half full. And then they have their playhouse, and that's it. And I don't allow toys up in their rooms. They have books. We allow that. But
occasionally our daughter will take a doll.
Yeah.
Take a baby doll up to bed.
Well, and so honestly, I'm gonna call out my mom a little bit because she watches these, so she'll forgive me. She knows we pursue minimalism, and she's gotten into this habit lately where she she still enjoys taking the kids out to buy them small things here or there. Now her saying every time she comes to our house is, well, I know you're minimalist and you can throw this away or donate it when they're done playing with it. And so she like sends these little items and she's giving me permission. It's like she's literally using her money to buy it, but giving me permission to pass it on. Because in that moment, I guess it brought her joy to see our kid have joy in it, whatever. That's their interaction. But for me, I honestly, those things that come in our home, I let them stay maybe a couple days. And then kids, they move on from it. Like, and so I constantly keep a box in our office. Our office space is right by our garage. And it's my donation box. And honestly, as our kids start leaving those kind of things around the house, I know that they're done playing with them. Or even if they're not done playing with them, when they start getting left in my spaces, my zones that I can't handle, like, too much mess in, I pick it up, and I don't pick it up and take it to their room or their playroom. It goes right into the donation box. So that's how I've like figured out how to donate their toys. And the kids have picked up on it, that if they leave stuff around my living room, it disappears. And it doesn't disappear back in their room. It goes in the donation box and it never comes back. Which honestly, they don't ask about that stuff. When it's gone, once I've donated it.
Not unless they see it in the box.
Yeah, unless they catch me before I'm like trying to get it out of the house and take it to donate. But if I can sneak it out and get it on to somebody else or get it sold or whatever, like, then it's not a big deal. So, yeah.
You were mentioning the imagination side of it, and our daughter, like, I guess she mimics what's going on at her daycare, because she'll take, like, she has 2 baby dolls maybe, and so she'll like tuck those in under a blanket, but sometimes the blanket is like my shirt from my laundry.
Yes,
and
that's a great point. Like, I don't give my daughter, like, so for example, she has an entire playhouse downstairs, right? Like, we built a giant playhouse in our basement, and I would think she would play in that more than she actually does. What kids are drawn to is the area their imagination is focusing on in that minute. And so, like, Evelyn doesn't have like a baby bed for her dolls. We don't give her baby blankets. We don't give her like bottles or things. But what she'll do is she'll take objects around our house and transform them into a baby bed. Like, I noticed she took a basket from my front room yesterday, and that was her baby's bed. And then she took towels from the kitchen and tucked in her baby with the kitchen towels. And then she had some other object maybe she was using as a bottle, and so her imaginations run wild with it. And the idea,
like, even the other night, she had a stool set up in the office, and she had the baby sitting in the office, but then she laid out all of our shoes as though they were like in the class, in like,
she was pretending
and, like,
that the shoes were kids in her class, and that the baby was the teacher talking to them. And so the fact that, like, she can literally take shoes and have a good time, it proves that our kids don't need all the stuff we think they do, all the marketing, all the things, the toys that are being pushed on them. And, I know Evelyn loves having babies around. I'm not going to deprive her of her 2 favorite baby dolls, but she doesn't need 4 baby dolls. She really didn't. I think at one point when we started minimalizing their toys, she had like 6 or 7. And I was like, this is too, like, these are the 2 she always plays with, but the others just get left around. It's extra I have to pick up. And when I focused it down to her 2 now, like, are...
Well, it's also interesting on this journey, because of the 6 or 7, however many it was, it's the most plain, the one that, like, doesn't have any adornments.
Yeah, she strips it off of. It doesn't wear any clothes.
It's just got a regular head and like a cloth body, but like, that's the one that she really.
It wasn't, because we had like all these bells and whistles baby dolls, like the one that was supposed to go potty, and it made like sounds, and I don't know, it was like a potty training doll, and there was one that you fed stuff to, and she didn't prefer any of those. She preferred the one
she would play with it that day, like to your mom's point,
for just a little bit, for like about a day.
She'd play with it and like
exactly
get that kind of enjoyment out of it. But then when it comes to actually playing with the doll,
then she would go back to her old favorites, and that's where minimalism made a lot of sense to me. Was really, if you watch your kids and their patterns, they have a favorite and they stick to it, and it's just kind of narrowing down to what is that favorite for your child and clearing out all the rest of the clutter. Because like I noticed Caleb, he had all these Hot Wheels cars, he had what kind of different, we had action figures, we had all these different like avenues of stuff, but really the core thing he loved to play with was Legos. And well, now it's Pokemon cards, so
and Yu-Gi-Oh.
And Yu-Gi-Oh, like he's into this kind of stuff.
He's in the little card.
Yeah.
Card
so honestly, he did not miss the action figures when I got rid of them. I got rid of like every single one because he wasn't playing with them anymore. And I was like, why am I storing this stuff with the idea that he might all of a sudden change his mind? You know, it's different if you keep, I don't know, if you have like hand-me-down developmental stuff, where maybe they're not developmentally ready for something yet. Like our baby or our 1-year-old, she will eventually move into the place where she's ready to play with some of the bigger toys. But honestly, even right now, taking after her sister, she loves dolls too. So she's playing with the doll as well. So yeah, I'm actually very happy with where we're at with our toys, and I think I'm just gonna keep doing what I'm doing. That as the extra come in, I think honestly, like, much love to my mom. I do love her. She's amazing. She, you know, watches our kids. I think she is working on stopping that source of like sending more and more in. She's getting it. She's learning. Even from my videos, she's learning not to send that. And it's been so important to have those conversations and to kind of model that with our parents and explain where our hearts are at on this. So, yeah, I don't know. I think, is there anything else that...
from the other thing that she mentioned, I think, was wardrobe.
Yeah, and I've done other videos. I talked a lot about minimalizing my wardrobe. I think the only thing that is ever rotating for me, so my wardrobe's great. I can kind of stay like this for a while, and is the kids. The kids ones can be tricky because they're constantly growing, and also with seasonal changes, like, I don't know, I just feel like there's more stuff to manage in the kid version. So I probably need to do a refresh of going through our kids' drawers, making sure we're ready for winter, just kind of taking inventory, seeing what sizes they have, seeing what they've outgrown, and if it's not something that can be hand-me-down from Evelyn to her sister, like our son, we don't have a younger boy, so pass that on to somebody else who needs the hand-me-downs from him. So, yeah.
And it's, you know, thinking about my own wardrobe, I don't have a lot, but I also, this last, since March, haven't really been wearing my polo shirts at all. I used to wear a polo shirt.
Because he works from home now, as do I. Like, I'm a teacher, and I'm teaching full-time in this front room, doing live lessons, and you're in the office doing like your Zoom meetings and stuff. But honestly, half the time they don't even make you get on camera, so you can just wear like... Yeah.
Well, and even when I do, there's, at least at present, there's not a business expectation.
So in a way, it's simplified your wardrobe, but I will say it's one of those things where I'd be like, well, don't get rid of your business attire, because if he has to go back, then you still need some. Yeah. But I would have I inspired you any with how much I've pared mine down? Yeah. Because I was the guilty person. I was the one that had the most, and he had like this much of closet, and I had like this much. And I think at one point I wanted to kick you out of our closet, and I wanted to have him take some of the closet in the kids' room. I said, well, you can just move your stuff in there, and I'll just take our whole closet. That's how bad it was.
I had like all my work
I remember
shirts
that.
in the kids' room.
I put your work shirts in there. Oh man, how far I've come.
Yeah. Well, and that was also
I forgot
on her
about
time,
that.
because there was times where I would have to go in while the kids were still sleeping. Although I think it was just Caleb at the time was still
That's
sleeping.
right. They were
And I felt
they were
so
not
bad,
even awake.
Like, yeah, I'd have to like sneak in and get my shirt
Oh my
out in the
gosh.
dark and like, I think this is the right one.
And do you
then,
remember when I took up literally the whole dresser with my clothes? And he at one point was like,
There's 6 drawers in the dresser.
yeah, he's like, Morgan, do you think you could spare
Can I just
one
have
drawer, one drawer for like my socks or underwear or shirts or something? And I was like, I don't know, honey, a whole drawer. I was like, you want me to get rid of a whole drawer? Like, it blew my mind. Man, now I'm reflecting on that. I was really bad. Like, I was not a minimalist over, what was that, probably 2 years ago, a year ago? We've kind of started this journey in the last year and a half or so. So I've come...
When we first got married,
I've come a long way.
That's where we started, was, full
so
master bedroom
I
closet.
guess he's reminding me of that. That should be an encouragement if you're watching this, that like, there's hope for you. If you're like me and do that, like that,
You have that much.
that many clothes. In my last video, I said it was a mountain of laundry. I kid you not. Like, I could wear through all of that. If I didn't do laundry, our floor would pile up in a mountain, and it was massive. I can't even
4 or 5 loads of
I
laundry
know, and
to
I
get
can't
through.
even imagine like living like that anymore, because, well, honestly, 3 kids necessitated that. I can't. You can't function like that anymore. Something had to change or give, because it's too much. It's just too much. My stuff was consuming me, I guess. Wow, that's good.
And I'm happy to report that I now have 3 drawers. I now have half
Yes,
of the
I've cleared out.
dresser.
I cleared out half the dresser, and I've even my space in my closet, I've really condensed. Now it's kind of your shirts that are taking up a little more. So I think there might be a future husband minimalizing.
I mean, on that note, I'm pretty sure I have at least one suit that I can get rid of. And actually, to be fair, this office closet was full of clothes from before we got married, and they had stayed in there for 5 years, and I had never even touched them.
And we finally
This is stuff
remodeled
I
that
didn't wear
room,
anymore.
and he got rid of all
So
of
I just
that.
cleared them all out. I was like, I haven't touched them in 5 years.
I've
I'm
been
gonna go
so
get rid of them.
proud of you, and I guess you're proud of me too. It's been amazing. It's been a seesaw really on this. Like, I'll go and make some extreme change, but then it inspires your partner. You don't really want to like belittle them or berate them or be like judgmental, like, I can't believe you're not embracing minimalism like me. It's like, no, I would be up there and you would see me getting rid of half of my clothes, and I just realized it had to start with me first, and then that kind of gets you on board, or over time you get inspired. You see the function and how it helps our family.
The other thing is, you also had to give me the space that I needed. You couldn't, if you went in and just cleared out my closet, I would be like...
That's not a good idea. Don't just like...
You don't need this. This shirt doesn't fit you anymore. Like,
you get impatient and you just like start pulling your partner's stuff. That's not a good idea. I would say one of the things she talked about on her channel was quarantining stuff. That would be a good suggestion. If you had a partner who wasn't totally on board about like getting rid of it, or they're afraid of it, just say, hey, can we just try and quarantine some things for a little bit? Like, let's put them in some boxes, put away the things you think you don't normally use. We'll like store it up in the closet or out of sight or in the basement, come back to it maybe in 6 months or a year or something, see if you missed them. And if you didn't and you never touch them again, then maybe it's time to go ahead and let those things go. So that's a good idea too. I personally have been more extreme than that. I don't like to store stuff. I told him sometimes I have to get it out of our house, because if it stays around, even that thought of it's one more thing to do, to get rid of, to manage, I can't handle that. I've got to move it out of us as quickly as possible. And a great example of that is this week I posted some binders. I'd gone through some little teaching supplies. I had new binders in there, nice stuff, new folders, things, but I didn't want to keep it around. It's extra things to manage. I posted it for sale. Nobody bought it, nobody bit or jumped in on that sale ad. It had been over a week, and I was done. I was going to take stuff to the donation center today. And I said, all right, honey, I'm going to kind of bite the bullet on this, except that I'm not going to make any money on this part. And I went ahead and just passed them on to the donation center. And I don't know if you recall, when I came home, I just said it felt so good. It felt so freeing to have that done, have those binders out of my house. And sometimes that piece is worth more than trying to keep it around and make a profit off of it. So sometimes you got to let it go.
There's also I think the time value of money factors into that. You know, it's, what was it, 20 some odd binders, and I told her, like, you could potentially.
I know it was even less. It was like
but
3 binders, but like a bunch of folders and stuff. So, you know, I mean, and I was even listing them for $10. It wasn't even going to be an expensive amount. It was like, oh, if somebody wants, but nobody. I think that's a telltale sign, right? If nobody even wanted them for $10, nobody wanted to fool with that kind of inventory. Then it's like, okay, I need to just move this on along, get it out of our home. Sometimes you just need to go ahead and get it out and not worry about, well, I'll sell this eventually. Like, because often, I don't know, unless you're really purposeful or you do consignment sales for a living or something like that, I don't know. Usually it gets forgotten or it causes more stress because it's just another thing you have to manage and to do. So. Yeah,
and it's, like I said, if you really pushed, you could possibly sell it, but even selling them, you know, individually, but it would be a lot of extra effort for very little benefit at the end of the day, where, to your point, just getting rid of it all at once is freeing, especially when it's something that's not worth a whole lot of money.
Yeah. All right, well, I was kind of looking at our timestamp up there, so we're at like 30 minutes, and we will probably go on and have more discussions amongst ourselves, but I think I'm going to end our video or episode here, and I hope that this has been helpful, kind of hearing how we discuss it, how this exchange goes. And if you want to hear more with my husband jumping in with me in the future, I absolutely, I don't mind to do it if you don't mind to do it. Yeah. I told him the hard part is just remembering to turn on the camera, because we're always having these conversations naturally. They just flow like at the dinner table, or, you know, we just watched a video together on minimalism, and afterwards we of course have discussion. So it's like, oh, let's, you know, maybe some people don't know how to discuss these things with their partner, or how to feel about it. So, all right. Well, thank you guys for watching. And if you want to hear more, definitely let us know in the comments, like the video, subscribe, and we appreciate you all.